Mary Brown's day of reckoning, the Coyote Pass trial, began with a voice that had been silent for years, a voice once drowned out by polygamy, television lights, and a husband's selective love. But on that morning, inside a tense Arizona courtroom, that voice returned. And this time, it wasn't asking to be heard. It was demanding justice. The sound of heels echoed sharply against the polished courtroom floor. Every step carried 3 decades of pain, betrayal, and endurance. Mary Brown, once the obedient first wife of Sister Wives patriarch Kody Brown, rose from her seat and walked toward the witness stand. No cameras were allowed inside, but had there been, the world would have watched in breathless silence. The woman who had once faded into the background of a polygamous family was now standing in the spotlight of truth. Mary's dark blue blazer was crisp, her hair tied back in a no-nonsense knot. She clutched a folder stuffed with documents, receipts, contracts, property records, physical proof of a story America thought it already knew. Her expression was unreadable. Her eyes didn't blink, not when she passed Robyn seated rigidly beside Kody, and not when she met his cold, calculating stare. When she reached the stand, she adjusted the microphone slightly lower. The courtroom went silent, every head turning toward her. Mary inhaled, steadying her breath. Then, with quiet fire, she began, "Your Honor, I stand here today to reclaim what was owed to me. Not just as a wife, but as a woman, as a mother, as a human being." Her voice shook slightly, not from fear, but from restraint. Years of swallowed emotion finally finding air. "I want what's mine," she continued, "and I'm not backing down." A murmur spread through the courtroom gallery. Reporters, spectators, and even a few familiar faces from Flagstaff who had followed the Brown story from reality TV to real-life collapse. For years, Mary Brown had been the loyal one, the one who stayed. Fans of Sister Wives watched her heartbreak unfold. The isolation, the catfishing scandal, the public humiliation. While Kody's affection drifted to Robyn, Mary clung to fragments of hope. But that woman was gone. This was a Mary reborn, one who had nothing left to lose. Today wasn't about gossip or ratings. It was about Coyote Pass, 12 acres of Arizona land that represented not just soil, but promises. Promises of equality. Promises of family. Promises broken. Behind Mary sat Janelle Brown, arms folded, lips pursed in quiet fury. They had come to court not as former sister wives, but as allies. Women wronged, united by betrayal. The judge, an older woman with silver hair and calm authority, nodded. "Mrs. Brown, you may proceed." Mary unfolded a paper from her file. "This," she said, holding it up, "is an August 14th, 2018 payment statement. A deposit from my business account into our family trust. The trust that was meant to fund the Coyote Pass property. Yet, my name is nowhere on the deed." The courtroom stirred. She lifted another sheet. "This," she continued, "is an email from our real estate broker confirming my investment interest." And finally, she held up a worn, highlighted document. "This is our Sister Wives production contract. Each wife signed this agreeing that income from filming would go toward our shared family future, toward building homes on that land." Her lawyer, a sharp woman in a tan suit, watched intently, every word hitting its mark. "When Kody and I divorced in 2014 legally, so he could adopt Robyn's children, I believed we'd remain spiritually equal," Mary said, her voice tightening. "He promised that our covenant would stand, even if the paperwork didn't." She turned toward Kody. "That was a lie." Kody's jaw flexed. Robyn shifted uncomfortably, glancing down at her hands. "I spent 30 years building this family," Mary went on. "I raised a son. I built businesses. I helped create the show that made this land even possible. And now I've been told indirectly, through paperwork, that I don't deserve a single acre." Her hands gripped the stand. "I gave up my marriage. I gave up my title. I even gave up my voice. But I'm finished giving." Janelle nodded behind her. Silent solidarity. Mary turned back to the judge. "This isn't about real estate, Your Honor. It's about dignity. It's about keeping promises. It's about truth." The judge leaned forward. Mrs. Brown, are you claiming that the Coyote Pass property was always meant to be divided equally among the wives? Yes, Your Honor. That was the agreement, verbal, emotional, financial, and in spirit. When did you learn your name was not on the deed? In late 2023, Mary said, "Steady." Janelle and I were reviewing property tax records. That's when we discovered only 2 names appeared, Kody Brown and Robyn Brown. A ripple of gasps filled the courtroom. And what did Mr. Brown say when confronted? Mary gave a bitter smile. He said he worked harder, that he deserved more. Her lawyer rose immediately. "With all due respect, Your Honor," she said, "Mrs. Brown's contributions weren't limited to emotional labor. The family's finances were intentionally entangled by Mr. Brown. Their joint business TV earnings and trust accounts were merged to obscure true ownership. Mrs. Brown was not a spiritual dependent. She was an unpaid partner in a multi-million-dollar brand." The judge's pen paused over her notepad. She looked intrigued. Outside, a storm of reporters and cameras gathered. Hashtags were already trending. Hashtag Coyote Pass trial, hashtag Mary Brown speaks, hashtag justice for the wives inside. Kody stared at Mary with thinly veiled contempt. But Mary's eyes no longer searched his for approval. She looked through him, past him, to the years she'd lost. Because she had finally realized Coyote Pass wasn't just land. It was a promise turned into proof of control. Later, in a quiet consultation room, Mary and Janelle sat together, surrounded by folders, maps, and evidence. On the table lay a large map of Coyote Pass for designated sections, once meant for the 4 wives. But 2 names were missing. "You see," Janelle said, pointing, "our names aren't on any of it. Not a square inch." Mary already knew. She'd known for months. Betrayal had come slowly, disguised as leadership, wrapped in scripture, broadcast on television. She remembered the early Flagstaff days sitting by the fire pit as Kody spoke about their shared legacy. "We'll each have our section," he had said, "for homes. Close, but not too close. This will be our future." Back then, Mary had clung to those words like a lifeline, because by then, she had already lost everything else: her legal marriage, her position, her intimacy. He'd told her, "You'll always be my wife in every way that matters." Now, she realized it had been a performance, a script for the cameras, not for her heart. In 2023, when Janelle discovered the truth while paying property taxes, the illusion shattered completely. "I checked the records," Janelle said bitterly. "Only 2 names, Kody and Robyn. He told me he contributed more, so it was only fair." Mary gave a sad laugh. "He told me the same." And for the first time, both women smiled, not from amusement, but recognition. They weren't wives anymore. They were witnesses. For years, Kody had preached unity while rewriting the family narrative in his favor. Promises had become leverage. Faith had become control. But now, that control was breaking. Because Mary Brown was done being written out of her own story. For the first time, she wasn't part of Kody Brown's vision. She was the author of her own truth, and the world was finally listening. Her own truth, and the world was finally listening. Mary Brown versus Kody Brown. The trial that shattered polygamy. Mary Brown stood quietly in the hallway outside the courtroom. Her hands were cold, her heart steady but heavy. "I kept telling myself," she whispered softly, "that if I just waited long enough, he'd come back. That I still mattered." She looked down at the tiled floor, her reflection faint and broken in its surface. "But he didn't," she added, voice trembling. And she didn't. Not in his eyes. It wasn't anger anymore. It was acceptance, sharp, calm, and freeing. Inside the courtroom, the air inside was thick with tension. Papers covered the long oak table, lawyers whispered, and cameras flashed outside the doors. "This case isn't just about property," said Mary's lawyer firmly. "It's about trust and betrayal. If Kody promised each wife a share of the land, then secretly shifted it, that's fraud. Pure and simple." Janelle's lawyer nodded. "And all the money came from shared income. The show, the books, the businesses. That means everyone had a right to it." Mary stared down at a single page in front of her land transfer filing. 2021. It showed Kody transferring plot 3 into joint ownership with Robyn. No mention of Meri, no signature from her, no notice. He had erased them not with words, but with ink. Kody's arrogance during his deposition. Kody had been cold and confident. "I paid for 92% of the land," he said smugly. "The others said they would pay, but I had to take control." He smiled as if control made him righteous. But everyone knew that wasn't the truth. The money came from the family, from interviews, the TLC show, the books, and their public lives. The Sister Wives brand was built on all of them, not just him. Meri's lawyer pressed him. "Mr. Brown, if that money came from a show that required all 4 wives, then it wasn't just yours, was it?" Kody hesitated. "They were part of it, but I managed the funds." "Who approved that management?" She asked TLC. "A financial advisor. Or just you?" Silence. And in that silence, the truth was loud. Kody hadn't been leading a family. He had been running a business, and the wives were his unpaid investors. The emails that changed everything. Then came the bombshell. A set of emails between Robyn and the real estate lawyer. "We don't want the other wives to make things messy," Robyn wrote. "Better to finalize everything before they notice." Gasps filled the courtroom. The defense tried to soften it. "She just meant to keep the paperwork clean," they said. But Meri's lawyer shot back. "If that's true, then why were the other wives never told about the changes? Why were their taxes tied to land they didn't even own?" There was no answer. A flashback. The lonely land weeks before the trial. Meri had gone to Coyote Pass alone. The wind was cold, sharp against her face. She stood on the dry soil, staring at the mountains that once promised peace. She remembered Kody pointing to the land years ago. "There'll be a porch here," he had said proudly. "Yours will have the best view." She had smiled back then, believing him. She imagined her future there, morning coffee, laughter, maybe even forgiveness. But now, there was only silence and dust. She picked up a small rock and whispered, "This is all I'll get if I stay quiet." That was the night she made her decision. She would not be silent anymore. Back in court, the turning point, the judge called the next witness. "Mrs. Brown, please approach the stand." Meri stood up. Her legs were shaking, but her resolve was solid. Kody's eyes followed her, cold and calculating. Robyn looked down, pale and tense. Meri took a breath and began. "For 30 years, I believed silence meant loyalty. That waiting was faith. But waiting doesn't build homes. Waiting doesn't put your name on a deed. Waiting doesn't protect your rights." Her voice grew stronger. "That's why I'm here today." Her lawyer handed her a folder filled with evidence, payments, contracts, emails, and unedited TLC agreements. "This," Meri said, holding one document up, "is the 2018 family contract, signed by everyone. It says our shared earnings would go toward developing Coyote Pass equally." The judge nodded. "Admitted as Exhibit 17A." Kody shifted uncomfortably. Robyn's lip quivered. Meri continued, "We were promised 1 plot each. That was our legacy. But in 2023, I discovered the land was transferred to Kody and Robyn. Without our consent." Gasps filled the room again. Cameras outside started clicking. Then Meri's lawyer read aloud. "It's better to finish the paperwork before the wives start asking questions." Robyn Brown, March 2021. The courtroom erupted in murmurs. Out of context, Kody shouted, standing. The judge slammed the gavel. "Mr. Brown, sit down." Meri stayed calm. "I trusted him. I invested. And he erased me," she said, her voice breaking but firm. She held up proof of her payments. 6 bank transfers. $18,200 from my Lularo business, all sent to the family land account. That's my money. My proof. The room went silent. Kody's collapsed when it was Kody's turn on the stand. His confidence began to crumble. "Did you notify Meri of the land transfer?" The judge asked. "No," he replied. "Did she contribute financially?" "She might have." Meri's lawyer slid the documents to him. "These are her payments, correct?" "Yes." "So she did contribute?" "Yes." The judge's tone hardened. Mr. Brown, did you use family funds to buy land only under your and Mrs. Robyn Brown's names? Kody hesitated, then quietly said yes. The courtroom froze. That one word, yes, destroyed everything he'd built. The man who once controlled every story had finally exposed his own lies. The verdict of the heart, Robyn wept quietly. Janelle closed her eyes, relief washing over her. Mary sat still, her face calm, but her heart pounding. The judge didn't deliver a full verdict that day, but something far greater had already been decided. Mary had broken the silence. Outside the courthouse, reporters and fans filled the steps, cameras flashing. Mary walked out, shoulders straight, eyes forward. "Mary, what do you want to say?" A reporter shouted. She paused, looked straight into the crowd and said, "I didn't come here to hurt anyone. I came here to stop being erased." And then she walked away. Not as Kody's wife, not as a forgotten woman, but as Mary Brown, strong, free, and finally seen. Strong, free, and finally seen. Mary Brown versus Kody Brown. The trial that shattered polygamy, her voice shook, but she did not shatter. For too long, Mary said, her voice echoing softly through the courtroom. We were told to smile and stay quiet. That's done. This is about equality. This is about truth. This is about never letting someone else tell your story for you. Behind her, Janelle gave a solemn nod. Together, they walked away from the witness stand. No longer silent wives, but women reclaiming their power. Then the clerk spoke. "Mrs. Robyn Brown, please come forward." The courtroom went still. Even the air seemed to stop moving. Robyn takes the stand. Robyn rose slowly. Her heels clicked against the polished floor as she walked to the witness stand. Her hands trembled as she smoothed her sleeve. The calm, camera-ready wife from Sister Wives was gone, replaced by a woman terrified of the truth. The bailiff stepped forward. "Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?" "Yes," Robyn whispered. The questioning began gently. Mrs. Brown, her lawyer, asked, "How did you believe the Coyote Pass land would be divided?" "It was always meant for all of us," she said quietly. "One piece each." That's what Kody said. "Did you think Mary and Janelle still owned part of it?" "At first, yes," she replied. But then things changed. Christine left. Mary became distant. Janelle was angry. "I thought I was the only one still committed to building the dream. Were you involved in signing the property papers?" Robyn hesitated. "I signed some documents, but I let Kody handle most of the legal work." "So you didn't know those papers removed Mary and Janelle from ownership?" I didn't realize it." "Not at first," she said softly. But everyone in the courtroom could see the cracks forming. The cross-examination, Mary's attorney stood, sharp and calm. "Mrs. Brown, you say you trusted Kody to handle the legal side. But isn't it true that you're listed as Kona on 3 of the Coyote Pass lots?" Robyn blinked nervously. "Yes, but I didn't know the others were being left out." "You didn't ask. You didn't question it?" "No, even though the plan was for 4 equal shares." "I thought they weren't interested anymore," Robyn whispered. "So instead of verifying, you just signed giving yourself and your husband ownership of everything." Robyn's eyes darted toward Kody. "I was just following orders." Those words hung in the air like fog. Mary's lawyer lifted a printed email. "Mrs. Brown, did you send this to the property attorney?" She began reading. "We don't want the other wives to make it messy. Better to finish everything before they notice." A gasp rippled through the gallery. Robyn went pale. "I didn't mean it like that," she said, panicking. "I meant emotionally messy. I just wanted to avoid conflict." Mrs. Brown, the lawyer, pressed. "You and your husband removed 2 women from ownership of land they helped pay for. That's not avoiding conflict. That's exclusion." Robyn's composure broke. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "I trusted him." She cried. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I thought they didn't care anymore." The courtroom sat frozen. The mask had finally fallen. The judge intervenes. The judge leaned forward kindly. "Mrs. Brown, do you need a moment? We can reassess." Robyn shook her head. "No, I want to say it." Her voice trembled, but she continued. For years, I've been blamed for everything by the fans, by the wives. I never wanted this. I didn't ask to be the legal wife. I didn't ask for special treatment. I just wanted to protect what little family we had left." Her eyes met Mary's. "I'm sorry. I really am. I never meant to erase you." Mary didn't blink. She sat silently, the picture of quiet strength. Robyn continued, "I signed things I didn't read. I didn't question. I just trusted him." Mary's attorney's voice was firm but not cruel. "Intention matters, Mrs. Brown, but so does responsibility. The facts show you gained ownership and benefits from land that Mary and Janelle helped pay for. You didn't stop it. You didn't question it. You didn't correct it. That's not trust. That's complicity." Robyn bowed her head, silent tears dripping onto her hands. The courtroom's reaction, the audience, fans, journalists, even strangers sat in stunned silence. Many felt anger, but others felt something deeper: recognition. This wasn't just about Mary and Robyn anymore. It was about every woman who'd ever been told to stay quiet, to be patient, to be grateful while someone else took the credit. It was about truth finally standing taller than fear. As Robyn stepped down, the judge spoke sternly. "Mrs. Brown, emotional regret is not an excuse. The court takes note of your failure to act responsibly. There will be repercussions." Robyn nodded weakly and took her seat beside Kody. He didn't even look at her. The power in that room had shifted and everyone knew it. The verdict 3 weeks later, the courtroom was silent once more. The final judgment was ready. Mary sat calmly beside Janelle. Robyn clutched a crumpled tissue. Kody sat rigid, arms folded, his confidence fading fast. The judge began. "This court finds that verbal, written, and financial agreements were made among all adult parties concerning the Coyote Pass property. These agreements, though informal, were represented publicly and within the family as equal and binding." Mary's attorney smiled faintly. "The plaintiffs, Mrs. Mary Brown and Mrs. Janelle Brown, have proven through records, media, and contracts that they held legitimate claims to joint ownership. It is further found that Mr. Kody Brown, assisted by Mrs. Robyn Brown, knowingly secured title without fair disclosure or compensation." A hush swept through the courtroom. "The court orders that the Coyote Pass property be reappraised at current market value. Mrs. Mary Brown and Mrs. Janelle Brown are to be compensated equally. The sum must be paid within 90 days, or the property shall be sold and divided equally to 25% each." Boom, justice. Mary didn't cheer. She simply exhaled, releasing decades of pain and invisibility. Janelle squeezed her hand. Across the room, Robyn wept quietly while Kody refused to look at anyone. The aftermath outside, cameras flashed. Reporters shouted. The news spread like wildfire. Mary Brown wins the Coyote Pass case. Social media exploded. She finally got what she deserved. Kody can't gaslight his way out of this one. Robyn's tears didn't work this time. At a press conference, Mary stood at a podium, Janelle beside her. The crowd of supporters, mostly women, watched in silence. "I never wanted it to come to this," Mary said softly. "I believed in this family. I gave everything, my time, my loyalty, my silence. But silence doesn't serve justice. Loyalty doesn't mean surrender." She looked straight into the cameras. "For years, I was told I didn't count, that I wasn't enough. But today, I was heard." Applause broke out. "I didn't come here to ruin anyone," she continued. "I came here to reclaim what was mine and, more importantly, to reclaim myself." A new beginning. Months later, Mary stood outside a small cabin in Utah, her new home. It wasn't big. It wasn't fancy. But it was hers. In a live video to her fans, she smiled. "I wanted you all to see this. It's not just a house. It's proof that you can start over at any age from any place." She lifted her mug. It read, "I matter." The comments poured in. "We're so proud of you, Mary. This is the real happily ever after." Final reflections. Mary's victory wasn't just about land. It was about dignity. For years, she was painted as desperate, weak, or forgotten. But she wasn't weak. She was faithful. And when faithfulness is used as a weapon, breaking free becomes a revolution. That courtroom didn't just give Mary Brown back her land. It gave her back her voice. When her moment finally came, she didn't just speak. She roared. Moment finally came, she didn't just speak. She roared.